important is if, as a society, we now start accepting that entrepreneurship is good, that profit making is essential, not just for efficient use of capital, but is also essential for wealth creation. And that is what you really need to percolate growth and share the spoils of the development with a larger base of people, because that breeds on itself. It has to move to entrepreneurship. As a society, I think we have to accept that needs to be done, and then perhaps start dismantling some of the regulatory frameworks that we've created or some of the roadblocks that we've created around such a movement. Uh, and this 9 feet 2 inches is not going to go away from my mind. It just keeps coming back. It's stuff like that that we need to do away with. How do the regulators and how does the governance facilitate and actually encourage entrepreneurs? How do they get into a partnership with an entrepreneur to say, I want to see you succeed, rather than let me see how you're going to fail? I think that's the movement we need to get into. But that has to come from all of us sitting here. It's not going to come by saying that the government needs to do this. I think that's a movement we need to create.
Um, we'd like to sort of, throw open the session for the audience to ask some questions if you have.
Do we have a floor mic? Yeah.
Ashu, first of all, heartiest congratulations. It's great. I had the privilege of seeing you from the first day that you thought about this venture. So it's great to see this converted into a book. My question to you is, when you sort of moved the journey from being a manager to entrepreneur, there were a lot of learnings that you had. What was one thing which you had to unlearn to really become an entrepreneur?
Okay, thanks, Sanjeev. Well, I remember coming to you when I left and said, should I apply for another job? And you told me, no, I don't think anyone would employ you. But
let me fix it. You're being unfair. I think you should give me some credit of saying, you'll be a great entrepreneur. Do something of your own.
I know. Okay.
I've got part of the royalty rights.
Okay. No, but I think one of the one thing that when a person at my age and stage has to change, it's to get used to not having the infrastructure, the comforts, the perquisites, the money, etc., which you take for granted. So, waking up in the morning on the 1st of April 2003, I suddenly realized I had no secretary, I had no one, I had nobody to take appointments, I had nobody wanting to see me, I had nothing to do. And that is the transition, from flying first class, suddenly switching to flying economy. From, again, an instance from my own book that I quote, very dear friend of mine who was president of Walmart China. I went to see him, and I was staying at the Grand Hyatt in Shangri-La, paying some $350, and he, picked me up and he said, "Who's paying for this?" So I said, "I am." He says, "Do you have a lot of money?" So I said, "No." He said, "Listen, you worked for this company, I worked for Walmart, the company was paying for it. Why do you want to waste so much money? Do you want to stay where I stay?" So I said, "Yeah, die." He moved me to this incredible chain of hotels called Holiday Inns. Not the old Holiday Inns, but Holiday INNS, which is now a $3 billion company in China. $25 a night, right in the heart of the city. Good room, attached bathroom, hot running cold water, free internet, and a Starbucks attached, which was your coffee shop. Now, that was the transition I had to make.
If I can just add one point, you talked about not having getting used to not having infrastructure. I think the next thing that you got to get used to, you probably have got used to, is not having a structure.
Yeah.
You just change your model all the time.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, you find that, okay, I want to have 15 shops in 1 year. Then you say, no, I want to have 15 shops in 10 years.
Absolutely.
Maybe shops are not a good idea. Wholesale,
Yeah.
Lack of structure more than
I agree with you. I agree completely. Yes, Bart.
I just echo what Sanjeev has said. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a dream come true as far as we're concerned. I have a question, a suggestion rather, a question. I know you're one of the few successful entrepreneurs who could become from manager to entrepreneur. I think, when you're saying, but most of the people, we had many debates in the same forum a couple of years back where Sanjeev was also with us, Sanjeev Bikhchandani. And when we were just going through the statistics, many few business school graduates who passed out have really gone into an entrepreneurship, unless they have their own family businesses. I think you have written a book. It's a great message which you are spreading across the globe and India, which will encourage and motivate others. But, can we do something, you personally, to share this learning, at least in some way or other, to the business schools, how to develop that entrepreneurial spirit, right from they take off from the blocks, rather than you're one of few guys who started late 40s, could make it without any family support or financial support, but many of them have failed. Because I could say, since both these gentlemen are talking about Bikhchandani, Sanjeev I recruited him in my company. He was my first management trainee. And he's one of the guys who spent 5 years, and he came to me, Dwarka, help me to get out of this company. My boss is not relieving me. I said, what is the matter? I just want to be an entrepreneur. I don't know whether... He was a very successful marketing manager, marketing Horlicks for us. So I think, there are very few guys, if you see right from the premier business schools, where you find this, they have the entrepreneurial streak and spirit, but they would perhaps would not like to venture into it because of the corporate world is offering attractive jobs. I think, this is one message which I thought I'll make this session to you. While, it's important you spread the message to the books, how we can do as a community to help people like you. Because unless you stand and give a lecture and send some messages, people would not see it. We going and talking about you and Sanjeev is very different. Coming from your own experience would be different. I thought I'll just leave that session with you.
Thank you, Dwarka. I take your point completely, and I'd be very happy to talk to whoever. Thank you again.
Rosh, I think congratulations are in order, as usual, from everybody. Just one question. Can you give us a small, maybe a 5-pointer as to what a person should do to convert from from a manager to an entrepreneur? Just 5 points or 6 points.
Wow. That's that's a very, very tough one.
Just 3 points or whatever, a 5-point program or whatever. You can give us a quick summary of that, Gagar mein Sagar or whatever.
I don't think I have any quick fix. I don't have any answers. I think it's just a lot of experience that I managed to acquire in ITC, and I personally believe that the entrepreneurial abilities that were given to me in ITC, part of the diversification wing, setting up multiple companies, the freedom to be able to work, is something which really got me to start thinking differently. But I think what's very, very critical is to be clear in what you want to do, to make sure that you have enough money in the bank for 12 months, so you don't run out of cash, to make sure that you don't give up, and there will be several instances of people falling, and people fall and they give up and walk away. So you've got to stay the course.
Did you ever think about giving up in between?
Several times.
You did? Okay.
Several times.
And any instances, reasons, or money, or some
No, well, I think
government?
we've got a very, very strong private equity partner in Samara Capital, and I think they've stood by us right through. But yes, there were days when, not now, but in the first 2-3 years, I did think, have I done the right thing? Is it really the right thing to do? I've given up everything, and so on. But no, now there are no regrets at all.
Put your life savings in and kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Ashutosh. Yeah. First of all, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you just one thing. You see, before you started, I don't know if you were the first one to do this chain of chemist stores. Probably you were one of the first. It was just a mom and pop, your friendly neighborhood chemist shop. So what I want to know, now that you have started this chain of stores, there are many more. You have a lot of competition, Relicare, and so many have started this. So what is your USP in Guardian, and how do you intend to face competition? Because there are so many into...
I think, as I mentioned, the pharmacy space is very, very large. It's 98,000 crores of revenue, and the organized retail chain is currently don't handle more than 2% of the total market. So I don't think Religare or 98.4 or Apollo is competition. I think we've got to make sure that we do things right when you compare us with the neighborhood chemist. And India is faced with a very serious problem of fake medicines. And I'm not suggesting at all that only the organized chain sell reliable medicines, but there is a much, much higher probability of you getting absolutely genuine products and getting all the products that you need. So again, most of us would have experienced this. You take a little slip of paper and say, I want 6 medicines, and the chemist invariably will turn around and say, I've got 3, I don't have 3. So I think those are some of the differentiators that are beginning to happen. But more importantly, I think as India is changing, organized retail is coming into this country, and it is a process of transition that's happening. The customer is now being able to exercise a choice.
Ashutosh, just a question. Has age anything to do with entrepreneurship? Could you have done this 20 years ago or 20 years hence? Is there an ideal age that you think?
No, I don't think there's an ideal. 20 years ago, my legs were much younger, so I had to work much harder to remain fit, and I lost almost 15, 16 kilos in the last 7, 8 years to be able to keep going. But no, I don't think it's anything to do with age. I tell my colleagues and Guardian that I'm the oldest person in the company. So I've got lots of young colleagues who can take the ball and run.
No.
I think age, an older person brings a different perspective. A younger person has far more energy. So I think it's probably a combination of both.
If I were to just put another question, could you have done this 20 years from now? Would you have lost some risk-taking ability, or
20 years
has that got something to do with this plunge?
20 years from now, I would be 74 years old. I'd probably be sitting with grandchildren. But no, I don't think I could do it 20 years from now. No way.
Ashutosh, one question for you. First of all, congratulations on behalf of everybody again. Now that you've come 7 years now, when you look at the next 7 years, could you paint a picture for us? And in your journey to the next 7, are you reading any books right now?
Am I reading any books?
Yes.
I mean, you've written one, you expect people to read yours, so I mean, are you reading somebody's?
The next 7 years, I think it's just to do the same thing bigger and better. So from 230 odd stores, we think we'll go to 1,000 stores across the whole country. We work a lot with state governments to make sure that we manage their pharmacies and hospitals. So we think we will interact more with governments. And the second part of the question, am I reading any books? Right now, no, but I love reading all these bestsellers. So I've just finished reading the latest Wilbur Smith.
Yeah, I would like to ask the panelists. Emmanuel here from India Biz. I would like to ask the panelists, is it an idea that matters, or is it capital, or is it the market that matters most?
I think the idea is the most important thing, and the conviction in your own idea. Because money you'll be able to raise, and the market will always be present. So if you've got a good idea, and you've got a conviction that you're going to stay with that idea, that's what matters.
Can I add? I think one variable you left out was people. I think that is, along with the idea, that's probably the most important one. You won't get capital, you won't succeed if you don't have the people.
Thank you so very much. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening. Divakar will be.
Thank you all for this enlightening discussion. Here, I would just want to mention one thing which this book really tells you. It's one thing to dream big. It's quite the other to actually execute it. When you talk of many businesses failing, the execution is where they fail. Just the small little things where just to